The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for December 4th, 2025. This is season 15, episode number 25, and this is episode number 539 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And welcome to another edition of the show, which I know a lot of you are kind of excited about. Please don't skip over us and go to the Don Olivieri interview. Please be respectful and listen to us. Not that we'll really know anyways who does what, but we've got a lot of great stuff for you. I think the Tully's Good Time show was very eye-opening. Taylor, did you go through and watch the Brant Sherwood interview?
I did actually on the I think it was this morning while taking him to work. I sat there and I listened to the whole thing.
It's interesting because there was some information that they divulged that I thought was kind of interesting, especially about Tyson Kirkby, the captain, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it was definitely just a good interview to hear some insight on some things. And there's some other audio that we pulled when we talk about Port Huron a little bit as well. So I thought this one was very interesting with some of the audio, and I do want to say that I'm using this audio from the Tully's Good Time show. I've had conversations with Brooks to make sure that it's okay for me to do what I do, and I will credit where I get this stuff from. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about some teams in the league, maybe not giving proper credit where credit is due, but that's another story for another time, Taylor. It has snowed outside, Taylor. It is now officially hockey season.
It is. My daughter got to experience her very first snow day, and she absolutely loved it. So that was a blast, which, her snow day kind of turned into a snow day for me, even though hers is go outside and play and mine's go out and shovel. So it's slightly different, but still fun.
I know the feeling. I after I got out of work on yesterday at 3:00, I snowblowed, shoveled, did all that kind of stuff. And when you have a big Christmas display at your house, like I do, you kind of have to go around things because you don't want to put the snow actually on the Christmas decorations. So that's always fun and a challenge. And I feel like an engineer when I'm done because I basically engineered the way the snowblower is blowing things at all times. But everything still looks good and is still lit. That's what matters.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I'm fine with getting, some snow in winter. I don't like having Decembers where you don't have snow on Christmas. They're my least favorite kind of Christmas times. But yeah, it definitely, the hockey season seems like it's flying by, and now we've got some snow and it's starting to settle in and feel more hockey-ish, I guess.
Yeah, we are kind of like just over the 25% mark of the season. Can you believe that it's gone so quickly?
I can't, because I feel like just yesterday we were so excited for the season to start, and now we're almost more than a quarter of the way done, and it doesn't even feel real.
No, it doesn't. It's kind of crazy. All right, well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'll get us started. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and please don't forget to subscribe. We've gotten a lot of subscribers on all the different platforms. YouTube, where I know a lot of people are listening to the show, which is just bonkers to me that people really do like to listen to the show on YouTube. But thank you very much. I think just in the last 7 to 10 days, we've gotten like 12 new subscribers on YouTube, which is very cool. And also, just in the last 30 days on Spotify, it's gone up like 18 subscribers. So I don't know where you're coming from, but thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, if you don't know this already right now, I would be surprised, but he's the Don father. Don Olivieri is on the show. And Taylor, you got a little bit of a preview of this interview as I recorded it on Monday and then got you to listen to it a little bit. What are your initial thoughts of the interview? Give us a little small tidbit of what you thought of the interview before the fans actually get to listen to it.
Truthfully, I love the way that Don talks about, just playing hockey in general and kind of like planning your life in the way that, always do what you want to do and keep pushing for it because it's not always going to be there. And I just love the way that he always he has his priorities and he makes it a point to, he's doing things for a certain reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great value.
Yeah. I think when people listen to this, they're going to hear, first of all, he talks about something. And this is the thing that kind of gets me a little bit. There's a lot of different tidbits in the interview. He talks, obviously, the first 6.5, 7 minutes, we talk about the Binghamton Black Bears and how they're doing this season. But, he hasn't told anybody that he's now a part of the Fire Academy and that he got in and that he's doing it. And he kind of almost announces it really on the show. And for some of these players, Taylor, to open up to me and allow this platform to be a place where they talk about certain things, Andrew Utero, Kyle Stephan, now Don Olivieri, it kind of means a lot to me that they feel comfortable enough to come on and to have these conversations and kind of have these conversations on our show. It's a kind of a nice feeling.
Well, and truthfully, it should be. I mean, even, for Brant to reach out to you sometimes and be like, hey, has, so-and-so talked to you about what their plan is? It just goes to show that these guys, they trust you. They, they really believe in what you're doing. And they're willing to give you their story for you to put out. And that's a huge thing because it's their story. It's their life. And they're giving it to you to share. And so you should feel great about it. And all the fans absolutely love it. This interview it's awesome. It really reminds me of Stephan's interview. Not quite as sappy. Stephan's interview was pretty sappy for me.
Yeah.
He definitely, he hit the heartstrings. But it's a very good interview. I love the way that Don talks about things and, just the confidence he has in literally everybody in his life. And it's really awesome.
I totally agree. Let's talk a little bit about the Tully show, because one of the things that is pretty awesome, first of all, Brant's on it almost every single week or every other week when they do the show, which is every other week. And I think so far it's just this year, the one time when John Quinville did the show. The fans in Binghamton are kind of lucky because they do have such a great head coach who's very articulate, understands the game, is just easy to listen to him talk about the game. But this week was really good. There were things about what he said during it that I think is important for the future of Binghamton hockey for this season, and almost maybe even directly leading up to these upcoming games against Port Huron. So let's get in and start talking about some of these things that he talked about.
Yeah, so on Tuesday, Brant talked about the return of Tyson Kirkby from the Tully show and said that Tyson is waiting on a doctor's appointment and he could be back this week or next. And Bobby, I believe you have the response to that question from Brant that you're going to be playing for us.
Yeah, let's get that going right now.
Maybe you mentioned it inadvertently, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. You said with Steph not being available for the next couple of weeks and Kirkby coming back, is that a sooner or later timetable? What information can you give us on that?
We're just waiting on one more doctor's appointment, but
okay.
We expect him back in the next week or two. So
okay.
we're super excited for Tyson to be back in the lineup. He's been practicing a whole lot more, and he's been going through Q's conditioning camp as well. So he's down a little bit in the weight category. So we're very pleased with him, and I think he'll be ready to go. Either this weekend or next. So super excited to get him back in the lineup and just have his leadership in the locker room. Mostly, I really think the group misses his voice and leading by example.
All right. So that was obviously Brant Sherwood on the Tully Show talking about the return of Tyson Kirkby. And again, if you hadn't heard it, go back and go to the YouTube page. You can listen to the whole interview. We got a couple more segments from him, but I think it's huge. I think this is important to note that this team is 15-2, and they're going to be getting their captain back pretty soon. And I think that's huge for the Binghamton Black Bears, and probably a really bad thing for the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean, it just made me think of earlier, seeing comments from, other fans or, from other teams just saying that, we're not the team that we were that won the championship the last 2 years, or just, kind of basically like, in a sense, like downgrading, the team that we have, even though we're 15-2 and we're the first in the league.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of to think about it and be like, well, we're also playing without our captain and he's coming back soon. And, he's played in one game and he had 3 goals. So, it's like a saddle up and hang on kind of thing. Because I have a feeling the way that Brant said that, he's going crazy. I have a feeling that Tyson's going to come in and he's going to be on fire.
Well, let's be perfectly honest. As we're talking right now here on Wednesday, they're the number 1 team in the power play. They're the number 1 team on the PK. They've scored the most goals in the league, and they're only about 5 goals away from scoring the least amount of goals in the league through 17 games for themselves. Now, some of the teams like Athens, they've only played 14 games. PD's only played 14 games. But still, they are across the board. And then if you look at the leaders, CJ Stubbs is like in the top 3 of almost every single category. He's having a phenomenal season. Ivan Bondarenko, Mac Jansen, they all show up in the top 3, top 5 in some categories, all throughout all those categories. I don't think the team has done anything but prove that they are the reigning defending Commissioner's Cup champions, and that, right now they're still the favorites going into May. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. I'm not sorry to say that because it's true. They are absolutely right now. I don't care who you are, from what team you root for. If you look at anything but that your team needs to be a little bit more like Binghamton and a lot less like other teams, then you're crazy if you don't think that way.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that people are still finding, it's almost like they're nitpicking. Like they're struggling to try to figure out something that's so horrible about our team.
Yeah.
That it's almost like they're just nitpicking the littlest things. And we're leading almost every category.
Yeah.
That you could possibly think of. There's a Black Bear name in there, in the top 5 at least. Like it blows my mind that, people keep saying this stuff, and, and quite frankly, even we've talked about, we don't think that maybe they haven't even played their best game yet.
Yeah, I know.
But, we have...
Isn't that crazy?
We have, Stephan, who's going to be coming on in a couple weeks. Tyson could be back in a week or 2. Like, who knows what this team's going to look like by the end of December? And, what are they going to say then?
Yeah, and I know one of the other people that they're going to be signing, this team is only going to be better. And, I heard somebody say, and I'm not going to name the person who said this, but somebody said the way this team is constructed, and with the new signee that's going to come in within the next couple of weeks, with Tyson coming back, with Kyle being inserted into the lineup maybe next weekend, not this weekend coming up, but next weekend, they could go the rest of the way and not lose. You could legitimately bet every single game that they'll win just because they're going to have the lineup to do so. Now, of course, knock on wood, there's always injuries. There's always weird things that could happen. But that's what it's going to take, Taylor, for this team to lose again. I think it's going to take something weird to happen for them to lose.
Which is crazy because before the season started, you had discussions about, do we think that they could be better than they were last year?
I know.
And it was a lot of,
I know.
You're very much like, I don't know, and I'm like, it's possible, and now we're not even halfway through the season. We're like, well, if this is what they're going to look like by the end of December, they could go all the way and not lose a game for the rest of the year. It's so funny.
Which there's no way that can happen, right? I mean, it just can't happen. And listen, I'm trying to be as modest and whatever as I can be, but I mean, that's that's a discussion and conversation. And I got to be honest with you, after watching what, the one fan said on the Binghamton Black Bears page today, basically tried to talk trash and troll the Binghamton Black Bears. And of course, Andreas is actually responding back to him. I think Jeremy did as well. It's so funny because that's what it's going to take for them to try to beat us, is with that kind of stuff, which with Port Huron, we've already seen 2 games against Port Huron where they tried everything and anything to kind of beat us in that sense. And it kind of worked, right, in one game, but it didn't really work completely. And then when they just play hockey, and it's so funny too, because I know people are listening to us, especially Jeremy, right? Where when I say, when you play hockey, you can't beat us. When you do all the other dirty shit, that's when you get, in the Black Bears way. And then sometimes they still beat you.
Well, I mean, even for just Port Huron in general, I mean, just looking at their past weekend, they had probably their least penalized games their entire season.
And they lost.
And there was still fighting. I think the one game had like 3 or 4 fights in it, but there wasn't, a lot of the extra stuff, a lot of the dirty, the sticks, all the stuff that Brant has talked about on the Tully show. There wasn't a lot of that extra stuff, and they lost 2 games in
a row. Yeah. 5-1, because they won 5-1 on Friday night. I don't know what the penalties were like in that game. And then on Saturday, they lost 5-1, and then they lost on Sunday 2-1. So they lost a close game. But what you're telling me and what some other people have told me is there wasn't a lot of penalties in the Saturday and Sunday games.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't remember if it was the Saturday or the Sunday game, but there was no penalties in the first period, and majority happened in the second, and the third had maybe a handful, if that.
Yeah.
But the second period, there was, several fights. Other than that, it wasn't really – it was like watching a typical hockey game, and I was very shocked. But it shows that Port Huron, if they're not playing their way, they're struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'd also heard that they had bus issues, and some of the guys on the team are sick. So we'll see kind of what that entails when they get to Binghamton in a couple days. I know they're traveling on Thursday to get here. Don't know how they're getting here, but hopefully they get here safe and sound, as we wouldn't want that to be any other way. Okay, so Brant also talked about Kyle Stephan's return to the team and how it came about. Let's listen to that piece of audio.
I know we kind of ask you every single 2 weeks that we're here at Tully's about a weekly check-in. We're a quarter of the way done with the season, but you just made a big name signing in Kyle Stephan returning to the Black Bears this year. That got announced yesterday. Can you give the fans a little bit of insight on how that came to be and what that means for this team gearing up for approaching the halfway point of the season?
It's a huge pickup for us. So picking up Steph, we get a little bit deeper down the middle. We moved CJ to the middle, and it's not his natural position. And with Kirkby back and Steph coming in the next couple of weeks, you really want to bolster up that middle lane. So you look at championship teams from NHL down, they have really good defensive core and they have really good centermen. So we're very pleased with picking him up. I'm happy Andreas did a little convincing with Steph, so that definitely played a part when he visited the town. So it was awesome having him help with the recruiting side of things. But I think the biggest part of Steph's game and what he brings to the table, he's got a lot of heart and competes. So we're looking forward to his forecheck presence and him hunting pucks and making other D-men's lives miserable. So it should be fun seeing him in the upcoming weeks. He won't be in this weekend. It's just you want to think about the long-term stuff and make sure these guys are prepared and ready to go for a long haul.
Okay, so a couple points here that I think is important to point out. First of all, Kyle's definitely not playing this weekend. I think I made that clear earlier, and obviously Brant talked about it on Tuesday at the Tully show. So he's not going to play this weekend. Obviously, they want to, from what I heard, he's down a little weight, right? Because he thought he was retired, and you don't have to work out as much. You don't have to keep your weight up. And what they mean by keeping the weight up, you put muscle mass on during the off season because you know it's going to be a long season. And what happened is the muscle mass really helps protect you from hits, and skating around and hitting things and hitting people, being hit by the puck, being hit by sticks. Just having some good muscle mass is always good for that. And it's good to be strong during these games. So that's number one. He's not going to play this weekend. But also, when he does come back, it's going to put CJ Stubbs back into the winger position where he's naturally comfortable with. And I think he's usually on the right side when he plays wing. So I found those 2 points very interesting to point out.
What I found interesting is that Andreas had to do a little bit of convincing.
Yes.
And the reason that I found that interesting is just because you and I have had conversations before about previous players who have retired to come back to collect their ring, or, they step in the arena for any reason and they have to, physically remove themselves from the arena or they would have come back. And I think that's a really funny point, because if you listen to Steph's interview, he 100% sounded like he was good with hanging up the skates, that he was very confident with what he was doing. And then you see him at the arena and all the fans are talking to him. He's up in the press box. He's talking to you. He's talking to Brooks. Mm-hmm. He's on the air with Brooks. And then, he ends up talking to Andreas, and now he's back. And I think that's just a huge staple at what Binghamton really means to these guys.
There's a lure of coming into this arena after you've won a championship that makes you go, maybe I can still come back and do it, especially if the owner is, talking to you and saying, listen, let's figure something out to get you here. Steph wasn't working anywhere in particular that was making him a ton of money or doing anything like that. He was literally, listen, all the Instagram pictures and the stories that I was seeing on Instagram, he was living a pretty good summer. He had a pretty good summer. It was a beautiful summer up in the Alberta area of Canada. So where he's from is really beautiful, and he was posting some really gorgeous stuff. So I can honestly say that I think that just coming into the arena, first of all, when you come into the arena and you see that team out there that you played with half of those guys, and you see how much fun they're having, you see the success they're having, it's a lure. It brings you in. And when I talked to Steph last Saturday at the arena, he just had a big smile on his face. He was just so happy to be there. And I think, he's okay with playing again. And I don't blame him at all. Listen, I went and I watched 3 different Kiss farewell tours. They keep saying they're done, and then they kept coming back, and I kept going to see him or to see them. I will go see Kyle Stephan play as long as he wants to play. And he can retire 3 more times, and I'll still go back and watch him play.
Well, it seems like he really wants to be here, especially with the way that Brant talks about Coach Q's conditioning, that, Steph actually made it through all 10 rounds. And I was like, I was holding my breath because I was like, I don't think I could probably do one. But, it just, these guys want to be here. And it's awesome that, you take a guy who was 100% ready to retire, and now he wants to come back. He wants to get back in it. And, he's welcomed with open arms, essentially.
Yes, 100%. So the next thing I want us to talk about is obviously the things that we don't always want to have to talk about, but unfortunately with this team and the way it's constructed and the way it's built, this was a necessity that had to happen.
So with the potential of Tyson Kirkby returning to the team this week, the Black Bears have traded Zachary Desmarais to Baton Rouge Zydeco for financial considerations. In 13 games for the Black Bears, Desmarais scored 1 goal and assisted on 4 others. If the Black Bears activate Tyson this week, then the roster size will be 20 plus 1 goaltender. With 1 player yet to be signed, the Black Bears will likely need to move 1 more player from the roster.
Yeah, so that's really what it comes down to, because obviously Kyle is activated. He is officially on the roster. If Tyson comes back, he'll be the 20th player, technically. Well, I guess he's the number 1 player because he's going to be their captain. I don't know. I guess you would rank him number 1 on the depth chart. Tyson's probably the number 1 center, so he's probably going to be ranked first. But either way, he's the 20th player on the roster. And it's when they actually announce and sign the new guy, someone else will have to, unfortunately, go through the same process that Zachary Desmarais and Cam Clark and all the different guys that have left the team are going to go through. So, but again, as I said in one of the posts, I said, trust the process. I think we can trust Brant Sherwood and the decisions he's made, because so far they've been all pretty good. And listen, one of my favorite players, and I'll make this kind of personal for me. One of my favorite players, Nolan Egbert, was one of those guys that was departed or left the team with all the decisions that had to be made. And I'm okay with everything because I know that Brant is doing the best thing for him. And I'm pretty sure within the next couple of days, everybody will see that Nolan Egbert will sign with Monroe. It's a hard part of this. Everybody falls in love. Taylor, you've said it multiple times that the fans just fall in love with these players, and it's hard sometimes to let them go.
It definitely is, and the more you think about it, the more it's like these fans want, they want the same exact team as last year, but they also want the new guys that we got this year. Yeah. And it's just, it's one of those things where it's just not possible. You physically cannot have all of these guys that you love, under the same roof as much as anybody would want it to. But the positive is that, the majority of the time, Brant finds a good home for these guys, or at least tries to. He tries to get them somewhere where they can play more, they can, move up when they want to, whatever the situation is. Brant is trying to make sure that these guys have a good home, and he's not just like, oh, I'm cutting you from the team, that's it, you're done. Yeah, I know. He makes the right steps, and I think that's at least the positive you should take about seeing these players move on.
Yeah, I know that Nolan was released, but I can tell you straight up that Brant Sherwood made a phone call to get him in Monroe, because he knows people in this league and he's friends and he has relationships with people in this league, and he helped get Nolan basically the conversation, the phone call. So hopefully we'll see Nolan on the ice really soon for the Monroe Moccasins, get a game maybe this weekend or next weekend, get a game in. I'd like to see him play again. It'll probably be a game, even though I have no reason to watch Monroe for any reason at all. I'll probably turn it on just to see Eggy play when he plays.
No, I'm sure you're not the only one. A lot of people, a lot of the fans keep tabs on how the other guys are doing in the league, and they usually post them in the fan page and stuff. So I'm sure somebody will keep tabs.
Oh, without a doubt. All right. So coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, you've been waiting for you've been good fans. And you've been patient, and you've listened through me and Taylor kind of do our dribble like we normally do. But coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, and you're going to hear a dog in the background. And Alyssa was apparently not happy that we could hear the dog when she heard the preview part of the interview. But yes, they have two dogs, I believe. They have Millie, which everybody helped with the surgeries. And I believe they have another dog, and I don't know the other dog's name, and I feel bad. That's probably because that dog's not as famous as Millie is at this point. Either way, coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is the Don father, Don Olivieri. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buchinski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. As I promised, it is the beginning of December, and we decided to bring back on this gentleman. And regardless if he was playing or not playing, I think I was going to have this conversation this week with him. He is the Don father himself. And yes, Donald Olivieri. Don, welcome back to the show. It's always good to hear your voice and get to talk to you. And I know the fans are going to be very excited to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I'm always happy to be on the show. You know that, and it's gonna be good talking to you again.
Don, let's talk a little bit about give me your impressions. You've seen a couple games that the Black Bears have played. You know how Brant Sherwood puts a team together. What do you think is the reason why, again, even without you and Kyle Stephan to start the season, even though Kyle Stephan has now been announced that he's coming back, and a couple other guys, Tyson's been out since game one. Why do you think this team can still win?
I mean, the talent that Brant brought in is good. I mean, Janny, he's a very good player he brought in. Most everybody he brought in has been very good and improves the team in some way. And all the guys just love to play the game and love hockey, and they all look like they gel together no matter the line combinations. And I feel like, this team, just like past teams, like they all just want to win. They want that ring. Nothing else matters. And, from what I've been watching, there's nobody being selfish, nobody, making it about themselves. It looks like a strong team, and it looks like everybody cares, and looks like they want to go for that 3-peat for some of the guys that have been there.
Are you surprised in a little bit how good CJ Stubbs has been so far this year to start the season? He's got 34 points, leads the league. He's got 24 assists. He's an assist machine, let's be perfectly honest. And he's just been so good, no matter which line, no matter who he's been paired up with. A lot of it's been with Mac Jansen and Ivan Bondarenko. Are you kind of surprised? I mean, CJ Stubbs pretty good. What are your thoughts on why he continues to excel?
To be honest, it doesn't surprise me at all. I've known him, when he was at Roanoke and I was in Fayetteville, and he's always been a great player. And it doesn't matter what situation you put him in. He has a good hockey IQ. I mean, he works hard. He's a tough dude, and he's not scared to get gritty. He's not scared to get into shit, and he has a good shot. He has a good vision. So it doesn't surprise me at all what he's doing. And I'm sure he still has a lot more in the tank, and I'm sure he's gonna produce a lot more through the rest of the year.
One of the guys you and I were talking a little bit about off the air, and I want you to get your opinion on the air for the fans, is Jesse Anderson, because I just talked about him in my day after game report on Sunday, talking about his game-winning goal on Saturday night. First goal of the season. And Jesse's one of those guys that sometimes, leadership comes in different ways. And, whether it's him dropping the gloves, sticking up for a teammate, or getting a very timely goal like he did on Saturday night. He's just one of those guys that a lot of people don't talk about, but you need guys like him on a team if you're going to win championships.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. He's a great defenseman. He's a solid forward. I mean, he does it both. He's a solid utility guy, which is huge for any team. His excellence and, his performance does go under the radar, which, isn't always a bad thing. He does what it takes for the team. Like you said, no matter what, if he has to fight, stick up for somebody, score that occasional goal that, turns a game around or wins a game. I mean, he can do it. He doesn't need the recognition or nothing. He knows that the team appreciates it, and he knows that Sherwood sees it. And I mean, he's a big team guy, and he's always been a big team guy.
Do you think it was difficult for him to go from forward to defense? You made the transition from defense to forward, obviously pretty easily. Was it difficult is it difficult for players who've played a position for a long time to then make that switch? And why is it? It's like a secret tool that Brant Sherwood has in his toolbox that other coaches don't seem to use that much.
I think it's definitely harder for a forward to move back on D. Just skating backwards and the crossovers and stuff. There's points where if a guy's coming down on you don't want to get caught crossing over, because whatever side you cross over on, the guy goes the opposite side. So you kind of lose a step there.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to stay inside the dots, keep guys wide. You got to judge a guy's speed when you're skating backwards. So it is different. I mean, moving the puck, you got to keep your head up at all times. You have guys coming down trying to kill you at all times, and you got to find the open man. So it is tough. I mean, me going from D to forward, I found it much easier because I could be that guy to go kill a defenseman because I know how it felt. But I think he's been doing well, and he's been incorporating his offensive skill as a defenseman, which is huge. And that's kind of how hockey is now today. Offensive defensemen are kind of a normal thing now. Like it wasn't like that back in the day. So I think he's doing well, and he's progressed a lot as a defenseman.
Yeah, were there conversations between the two of you about how to kind of transition to D, or where would someone like Jesse Anderson go and talk? Because it's not like Brant Sherwood played D, he was a forward. Where does Jesse get his information from on how to make that transition? Was that a conversation that maybe the two of you guys had?
I mean, I don't think he really had a conversation with anybody. I think he just knew the job that he had to do to get it done. I mean, there's some things that maybe I did see that I pointed out to him. I just pulled him to the side and, maybe give him a pointer here or two to maybe give him some extra time with the puck or to help him out so he doesn't get killed by somebody. But, he's a smart hockey player. And I think he knew what he had to do at transition as a defenseman. And like I said, I think he's been doing a great job. And I mean, he's a great skater. He has speed, and his backward skating is solid. So I don't think he really needed many pointers. Like I said, just maybe, here and there, if I see something in a game that could help him out, that could give him an extra second with the puck. You know what I mean? So, but nothing too crazy. He's been doing a great job.
Tyson has been out since the first game of the season. He played in that game, had a hat trick. So it looked like this was going to be a season of epic adventures for Tyson, but he's been out since then. I know you're close with Tyson. How difficult is it for a player like him who can muck it up with the best of them right in front of the goaltender, has that great awareness in front of the goaltender to get some of those goals that most guys probably don't understand how to do? How tough do you think it is, or has been, for Tyson to be out on injury so long?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for any hockey player. I mean, when you're out for that long, any hockey player will go stir crazy and want to play and want to get back and want to be with the boys and be on the ice and, do whatever it takes to help the boys win a game. But from talking to him and stuff, he's been working out. He's been staying in it. He's been the leader he always has. He's been talking to guys. If anybody needs help, he's helping them. I mean, he's been a real leader since he's gotten hurt. And that's awesome to see, especially in your captain. Some guys could get hurt and kind of stay away and be upset and be down. But not him. He's staying involved. He's staying with it, and he's staying in shape and doing what he has to do. Because when he gets cleared, whenever that is, and he comes back to play, it's gonna be like he never left. And I know how he feels with being hurt. I went through it. I mean, a lot of guys going through it, but I think once he gets back in that lineup, I don't think you guys are gonna see much change. I think he's gonna be the same Kirkby he's always been, and I think he's still gonna do what he does best: score goals, muck it up, throw hits, and just be that captain that Binghamton's had.
Let's talk a little bit about, can this team get any better? Right, they're 15-2 right now through 17 games, which is great. You add Stephan in there. I know there's another big name signing that's coming very, very soon, and then you bring Tyson back into the fold maybe mid-December. Right? Can this team really get better than they are now?
I mean, in my eyes, no matter if you have a super team or not, I think there's always room for improvement. And that's not always with your players. I mean, you could have, the best players in the world, but they could have, like the little things that they can do can be improved, handling pucks on walls, skating with your head up, making tape-to-tape passes, and stuff like that. Like stuff like that can get improved. And your hockey game can always be improved, no matter if you think you're the best skater in the world. Your skating can still be better. If you think you have the best shot, your shot can still improve. So there's always going to be improvements in a person's game, no matter they're in the NHL or in the FPHL. Don't matter. You can always improve to get better.
Yeah. Don, give me one thing that you don't miss about playing right now. What's one thing you don't miss?
Don't miss, to be honest?
Yeah.
I think I think working Friday, then driving up from work right into a game, and then playing Saturday and driving home Sunday. I think that's the only part of hockey I don't miss.
Yeah. And what's the thing that you're missing right now the most about not playing?
I mean, I just miss, everybody's asked me that, and friends ask me that all the time. And honestly, I think it's just the locker room. I just miss being in the locker room, whether, like I can come up right now and not play this weekend and just be in the locker room with the guys, and I'd be totally happy. I would just love having a coffee, bullshitting with the guys, making fun of each other, and just having good vibes in the locker room. That's what I miss most about hockey.
Who would you want to razz the most right now if you could?
I think me and Kirks would probably give it to Tomer when I get up there. I think we would have to go back to our old ways and kind of make fun of him.
Why do you want to pick on the nicest guy on? I mean, he is easily the nicest guy on the team, and you guys pick on him like ferociously.
I don't know. It's just, I guess, I don't know. It's just friendship stuff. It's just he's just the guy that we pick on. That's just how it is. He can take it well. He gives it back, but it's all fun with me, him, and Kirks because none of us mean anything by it. We make fun of each other. I mean, even when probably the 3 practices I had with the team, me and Kirks would give it to Tomer for missing a pass, or if Tomer gave me a pass and I missed it, we'd still blame Tomer for it, even though it'd probably be a perfect pass. So it's just fun in games. That's just how me, him, and Kirks, get along, and that's just how it is.
Well,
it's the same as our group chat. Me and Kirks just rip Tomer half the time anyway.
And he just takes it, or he gives it back to you guys, right?
He tries to give it back, but me and Kirks will just keep ripping him. So,
Poor Tomer. I'm not laughing at you, Austin. I promise I'm on your side on this one. These guys are cruel, and they shouldn't. He's one of the nicest guys. So obviously missing that. Let's talk a little bit about the future today. As we're talking, it's December 1st. Your rights are still held by Topeka. At this point, the way we look at it, you're probably not playing this season, correct? Unless something crazy happens, and you're probably not going to suit up for a game this year. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, I mean.
That's a tough question. I mean, it's a tough question, I know, but are you ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a side of me that I'm totally complacent with how my hockey career went, especially going out with the 2 championships in Binghamton. I think I accomplished probably 90% of what I want to accomplish with hockey throughout my career, and my parents, I mean, they were happy to see what I've accomplished, and I'm happy that I could repay them with being able to play, pro hockey and stuff like that. And because that was never the goal when I was younger. I never even thought I would even be able to. I never even thought I would get paid to play hockey, whether it's $100 a week or whatever. So I'm good with that. But also, I guess, I mean, I've been in the Fire Academy for about 4 weeks now. I haven't really told anybody, so I got through everything, and
which is great. Congratulations.
So my life's going in a different direction now, which is positive. So I mean, I can't be too mad about not playing hockey this year.
Right. And congratulations. I wanted you to be able to bring that up about being in the Fire Academy now for the last 4 weeks. What a change for you. You're a pro athlete, and you even told me that some of the rigors of the training is even tough, even for a pro athlete like yourself. Now, do you kind of wish that maybe you skated a little bit more in the off seasons, the last couple of off seasons, to stay in better shape? Because you and I joked about that, how you could not skate for 3 months and then come in and score 2 goals in the first game. But talk a little bit about the physical rigors of, being in the Fire Academy.
I mean, obviously we do PT every day, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or just before about to get out. But, it's a lot of, it's definitely a lot of long distance running. I mean, the first week, I mean, we started with 1.5 miles, then we progressed to 2.5, then we progressed to 3.5, then we went to 4. So next week, I think we're going to do like 5.5 miles. So it's every week they're progressing an extra mile. So that's kind of tough. I was never a runner, but I guess I'm starting to become a runner now. But
Yep.
then we have the burn building, which is 5 floors. You know, we do a ton of burpees, ton of push-ups, ton of stuff like that. Then have to run the burn building up and down like 10 times, and it's crazy. It's so the fire academy is military based.
Yes.
So I'm pretty much in the military in the fire academy for 9 months, which, you know, they want to make sure that your cardio is great, because when you put the mask on, your breathing and stuff like that, you know, so they want to make sure your cardio is solid, and it's definitely different than hockey training camp. I'll tell you that.
No, without a doubt. And you could probably give Brant Sherwood some tips maybe in the future and say, hey, listen, you know, if you try this, the guys might have better stamina. Talk a little bit about the toughest thing that you told me about Fire Academy. And it's not necessarily the physical, but there is a mental side to this, and a lot of new things that you have to learn. That is probably the hardest thing about becoming a firefighter.
Yeah, I mean, for Philadelphia firefighter, I mean, we have to be certified EMTs. So for the first 6 months of our academy is all EMS based. We do learn some fire stuff on the side as well, but we have to take an NERMT certification test at the end of the 6 months to get certified. If we don't pass that test, you basically wasted your time in the academy. So that's probably the most important about the academy. And, you know, it does take a mental toll. Like I told you, I mean, I haven't been in school in like 10, 15 years. And it's been tough for me studying and getting back into that groove. And I'm still finding my ways and still, you know, figuring it out. But at the end of the day, you know, I know I'm going to get through it. And no matter the anxiety, all the stuff that you go through, I mean, it's just super important that I have to pass this test. So it's non-negotiable for me.
And it's a new balance. It's a new set of challenges to balance work and life. Before, it was hockey, family, your regular day job that you were doing, and that was the way it was for the last 3 years, right? Now it's a new balance where you're spending a good portion of your life right now trying to get through this academy, because it's so very important, because it's going to set you up for better things in the future for you and for Jordy and Alyssa, right? So talk a little bit about how you had to rechannel the balance of your life going into the fire academy, because it changed for you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changed. I mean, they tell you in the fire academy that this is going to be the longest 9 months of your life, and you better let your families know ahead of time that, you know, you're there, but you're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's when they said it to me, you kind of shrug off your shoulder and you go, yeah, whatever. But in reality, I mean, it's true. There's so much studying you have to do. You have to be in the book 24/7. You know, like I think I got a test Saturday, and my test is on the first 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters is about 300 pages. Oof. So, and that's just, you know, there's probably going to be like 200 terms I have to know, and that's just the first 6 chapters. So it's tough, and you know, Alyssa's kind of adjusting to it too, and you know, I'm trying to balance between studying and keeping my head in the books, and, you know, going for runs, working out, and then still being a dad at the same time. And, you know, I'm learning, Alyssa's still learning. So we're still trying to find that balance, but I think we're doing all right for now. But, like I said, I mean, she knows it's all going to be worth it in the end. I know it's going to be worth it in the end. So, you know, it's just little sacrifices you have to make, to see the big picture in the end.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, you know, I know you have a great relationship with Alyssa, because one of the things that we've talked about in the past here on the show is how when you were making decisions on coming back to play hockey, you had those conversations with her, because she's a big part of how you make those decisions and everything. Was it easy, tough conversation to talk about going into the fire academy? Was she all in on that just as much as you were?
Yeah, she was definitely all in on it. You know, I tried to be a cop at first, and
yeah,
she wasn't too happy about that. My family actually wasn't too happy about that, 'cause it's just, I mean, it's different these days. I don't want to get into it, but
no, but your father was a police officer, so it's very important to understand that the reason why you probably wanted to become a police officer, number one, you want to serve, and this type of person you are, but also to follow in your father's footsteps a little bit as well, which is completely understandable. But to touch upon that a little bit, your father and your mother are also very pleased that you're becoming a firefighter as well, right?
Yeah, they're super excited. They're very, very excited for me. I mean, I guess this is a big deal in the Olivieri household right now, but because if you look into it, I mean, if anything ever did happen to me, like with my benefits, pension, everything, like
sure.
Alyssa and Jordy are taken care of. And
yeah,
that's the most important thing to me, and that's what my dad's been explaining to me, is that the fire department, they have those options for you, where as becoming a cop, it's not the same. Their benefit stuff aren't the same as the firefighters.
So it's tougher.
I looked at it that way too. And so that was basically one of the decisions, is that, like where's my family going to be taken care of if something ever happened to me on the job?
Mm-hmm.
And then being a firefighter is the best option. And I think being a firefighter would suit me best either way, because like you said, when you get in a firehouse, you're with a team, that's your squad, that's your family. And I know how that feels with hockey. And I think being a firefighter is just the best thing that would fit for me in my life.
No, absolutely. So then you can say, like, when you're like 90 years old, well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a pro hockey player, and I wanted to be a firefighter, and I was. So there you go. You'll be able to claim that when you're like 90 years old. Even if it wasn't true, you can still say that. And because you're going to become those things. You have always had a great relationship with Brant Sherwood. What was the conversation like when you said, all right, Brant, I am definitely going into the fire academy. It's happening. I'm sure you had a conversation with him about that.
To be honest, I know he knows, but I didn't really talk to him about it, because I kind of kept the academy thing to myself a little bit. I didn't really want to say anything to anybody, because I wanted to get through the first couple of weeks, get adjusted to it and figure some things out for myself.
Sure.
But me and him, I mean, if he's coach at Binghamton in 10 years from now, he knows the same conversation me and him are always going to have. You never know. He'll just say, just let me know if you want to play. And that's that. That's just that's how me and him are. That's how it's always been. And it'll never change. And so, I mean, me and him never have anything figured out. It's always just let me know, and then we'll figure it out from there.
Don,
that's just how every conversation goes.
Don, in 10 years, if he's still the coach here in Binghamton, he's not going to ask you to come up and play. He's going to ask you to come up and coach with him, if anything. He's not. All right, you're 34 right now? 35? Yeah, 34, right? 44, he's not asking you to play. He's asking you to come up to help coach and whatnot. Is there a future in hockey for you after the academy? Not necessarily pro, but maybe playing or maybe coaching on the side. Is there something that you can do hockey-wise? Have you thought about potentially that? I know I'm asking you a lot, and I know I'm asking for a lot here, but is that something that you could consider? Maybe. I mean, I know I'm guessing the fire department probably has a team down there.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess the fire department kind of found out that, I keep my head down in the class. There's 91 cadets.
Oh, so they found out you're a player.
I don't want to be the guy that every instructor knows, or I just kind of want to fly under the radar. But
sure.
They ask everybody what they've done previously for work and stuff. And, one kid that found out that I played pro hockey, and then next thing you know, the lieutenants are asking me, and so they all kind of figured it out. And they always keep bringing up to me that they have a hockey team in the fire department. And I always say, yeah, I'll play for them. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do as long as that. I mean, I would love to coach again. I got a little taste of it when I was assistant coach at Alvernia College. Mm-hmm. I had a blast coaching there. But I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't give you an answer. But, I mean, if they have, a firefighter or police game, and firefighters need me, I'll go play. But I can't promise that I'm going to go play every tournament they play in or
Sure.
something like that.
Because you're a hockey player, and you always will be a hockey player, and hockey is very important to you. So I got to imagine that, like with me being creative and doing podcasts and writing and things of that nature, I'm always going to do at least some of it somewhere, somehow, some way. So and I know it's sometimes a way for a player who maybe is at the end of their career to kind of keep the juices flowing, so to speak, either playing a men's league or maybe for the fire department or coaching, even like for a high school, something to that effect. I've got to imagine that it's a good thing. As we're talking now, Kyle Stephan just re-signed. He's coming back. He thought he was done, and they pulled him back in. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with you, but I got to imagine there's probably a little bit on your mind, like, well, maybe in a year I could go play for the fire department.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, I don't know. I can't give an answer, but you never know. I mean, maybe hopefully one day I can put on the Binghamton sweater again one last time too, I don't know.
You really want that too. I can tell it just because you've brought it up with me a couple of times without me even popping it up. Would you entertain a one-day contract just to put the sweater on one more time and then retire as a Binghamton Black Bear?
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I mean, the team knows me. I'll do whatever it takes for the team. If they want to bring me out for that, that'd be a blast. I give my 100% and whatever shifts I get and it's whatever. But I mean, I know I'm 34, but I still got a lot in the tank, and I do miss it just like any other hockey player. And like I told you earlier, it's different because it's easy to bring guys back in Binghamton just because, you're playing in front of 4,000 fans a game. The guys are treated like NHL players. The facility is great. So it's not like, you're trying to get pulled out of retirement or something to go to a team that doesn't care for their players or barely pays them or, so it's just Binghamton. It's just what it is. Like everybody just wants to go back because they realize that they're actually treated like professionals there.
I know there are some fans that are going to listen to this interview who absolutely adore you, love you. And I'm sure there's some fans that still reach out to you to see how you and Alyssa and Jordy are doing. How refreshing, or how does that feel, that to know that there are still some fans who, regardless if you're playing with Binghamton or not, they're going to be curious. They're going to be interested in how you're doing and making sure that you're okay.
Yeah, I try and keep up as much as I can with, messages I get. Like I said, the work schedule is crazy. I mean, it's 4 days on, 4 days off. I know the 4 days off, which is, the best thing that I ever experienced in my life. It's awesome. I love being home 4 days straight. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But also those 4 days, I'm studying for about 12 to 15 hours a day. So,
wow.
But, no, I try and keep up as much as I can. Like I said, I mean, the fans did a lot for me when I was there, especially with Millie and helping me out there and stuff. So, I mean, Binghamton's always going to be a part of me, my family. I'll never forget anything they did. And like I said, even if I'm not playing, I'll still try and make my way up there here and there to come watch the team, keep up with the fans, see how everybody's doing and stuff like that. So, I mean, that community is just a family, and they're amazing.
And you're friends with the best, podcaster in all of minor pro hockey. So that's pretty cool too.
Exactly. You're always up to date with everything, and you love interviewing players. This is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. What, three times?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Wow, is it only 3 times? No,
I don't know. It could be more.
I think it's more than that and everything. Yeah, well, you're one of the easiest guys to talk to. You can just sit there and just shoot the shit for 2 hours easily, which is nice. There are every once in a while you have a player who's like, they'll say hello and that's their thing and they move on, right? You're one of the guys like Kyle Stephan, like Josh Fletcher, Scott Romekers. I mean, that guy can go and go and go. He can talk.
I know. I sat next to him in the locker room. I had to get up and step away a few times to get that guy to stop talking.
When I had a conversation with him just recently, he actually mentioned you and talked about how he just enjoyed talking to you as a person. How does that make you feel that young players like Scott Ramakers looked up to you and enjoyed the time that they had with you? Because, when you make a mark like that, it's not about sometimes even playing on the ice together. Sometimes it's just about the interactions in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually texted me a few times during the summer, keep up, see how I'm doing and stuff. And we talked about, him playing again and stuff like that.
Yep.
And, it's fun talking to him. Like you said, I mean, me and him can bullshit about anything. I could literally not talk to him for 5 years, and then we text each other, and it was like we never, we haven't lost a beat.
Right.
But whenever he has questions or anything about hockey or, his future at hockey, stuff like that, he seems like he'll ask me and text me about it. And I give him the best advice as I can. And I'm happy he's playing. I know he was at the time was thinking about maybe taking a job and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm always happy for people that keep on playing. I always tell everybody, play as long as you can. Jobs will always be there.
Yeah.
Life will always be there. Yeah. Hockey's not always going to be there. So play as long as you can and enjoy it, because, when it's over, it's over, so I try and tell him that, and the younger guys and stuff. And I know playing in leagues like this, the money's not great, but we also don't play for the money when we play in leagues like this.
No.
We play because we love it. And
you play for the fans too.
That's how I try to explain it to them.
Yeah, and you play for the fans too. I mean, let's be honest, especially in Binghamton. When you play here in Binghamton and you see the crowds that come out for Binghamton, I mean, they've already had 3 sellouts. 2 of them have been in the 4,600s, close to a sellout. It's just, you also play for this community, and that's why the community has wrapped their arms around players like yourself and Connor Smith, guys like that who came in, played, but then had to go and do the real world, right? Go to the real world and do their real world life things like some of the rest of us have done. But they wrapped their arms around you. Don, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you always for answering my texts, and just, thank you for the friendship as well. I mean, this isn't going to be the last time we'll have you on the show. We'll talk to you again, of course, but I always really appreciate the time that you and I have to be able to talk and even text each other. Yeah, like I said, I love being on the show. Whenever you text me off the air, if you ever want to chat, I'm always here. I just want to say to the fans again, thank you for my experience there, and thank you for everything you guys did for me and my family, and Millie and everything. And I love you guys like you're my family, and I appreciate it. And hopefully I get to go out there one of these days on my days off and get to have a beer with you guys in the stands and bullshit with as many fans as I can. Well, I don't think I'm allowed to have beer up in the press box, but I'll have one up there for you. If you get to a game and you're just sitting in the thing, you can come up and we'll take care of that. I know the off-ice officials really well. I'm pretty sure they will not rat me out on that one. Maybe Brooks will let me go on the live stream with him, and absolutely, me and him could bullshit on a live stream a little bit too. I'm telling you right now, you have an open invite to Brooks's broadcast team. If you show up, and he'll hear this, and he'll absolutely invite you to come up and come on for a few minutes and chat. I know Brooksy really well, and I'm pretty sure that he would be very much welcome to that. Yeah, I just have to let my beard grow in a little bit, though. I have to have a clean-shaven face, and I don't know how I feel about coming up to Binghamton with a clean-cut face. So. Wait, you have no facial hair right at the moment? Yeah, I have to be clean-shaven every day in the academy. Oh, we need to see that. You need to send me a picture of that. It's bad. My wife loves it. I hate it. She loves it? Really? That's awesome. She loves it. I absolutely hate it. Awesome. All right, Don, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Good luck with the Fire Academy. Be strong. You made it up the ladder. It's something that you and I have talked about here on the air, and we've also talked. You made it up the ladder. A-okay. You got up there. I'm proud of you on that. I know that's something that you and I have discussed privately, and I know you mentioned it on the air before about going up the ladder. It's one of the toughest things that a new recruit has to do to get into the Fire Academy. You did it. No surprise that you did it, and I'm just glad that you did it. I wanted to make sure that we said that.
Yeah, that truck ladder is no joke, especially when it's cold and windy out. I'll tell you that.
I'll be sure to do it when it's like 85 in the summertime with no wind. I'll try it then.
Exactly. You don't want that wind gusting and the ladder shaking on you when you're about 40 feet up.
Awesome. He is Don Olivieri. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Don Olivieri. There you go, folks. Probably the most rated interview I've ever done here on the Power Play Post Show was Don Olivieri. The first time he came on to the show, and it always gets good ratings every single time we bring him back on. There is something about him. There's a character, there's a personality trait of his that I absolutely love. And I probably gushed way too much about him smiling on the ice because he always does. It almost seems like he's always having fun. But Taylor, I'm kind of interested in your thoughts on the interview. And I know you said you had a couple points you wanted to bring up.
So the first, I'll do the quick one first, is just Don without facial hair. I don't know if the fans are ready for that.
And he didn't send me a picture. So I'm going to have to send him a text and say, I need to see a picture of this.
Which I'm curious if, after he gets through the whole schooling process, how long until he does just the mustache and gets that, whole firefighter situation going. That's what I'm waiting for next is just the mustache.
Well, I'm waiting for the calendar to come out, right? Because, don't all firefighters do calendars and then they send it out? Because there will probably be like a ton of Binghamton zip codes, right? Purchasing those Philadelphia firefighter calendars if he decides to do one, and I can't see why he wouldn't. But that would be interesting. Yes, the clean facial hair is kind of funny because we never saw Don really with that.
Yeah, it definitely, like, when he said that, I can't even picture it. Like, most of the guys, you can picture them without their mustaches and that kind of thing, or haircuts. Mm-hmm. But Don without facial hair is just something I cannot picture.
Well,
and then
go ahead.
You can go.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna bring up my next point.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the other point that I wanted to bring up was I now understand why Austin Thompson is so calm on the ice whenever anything goes down, because he has to deal with Kirkby and Don busting on him all the time. So whatever he deals with on the ice can't be nearly as bad.
Austin is one of the nicest guys too. And I know he listens to the show. I think he games and listens to the show at the same time, which means he probably doesn't pay attention to half of what we say, which is okay. But if anything, but it's just crazy to me to think that they pick on him because he is literally one of the nicest. I say that about a lot of the guys, right? But not every guy is super, super nice, right? There's a couple guys on the team I'm absolutely petrified to talk to, and I'm not bringing that up here on the show of who that is, even though Taylor knows one of them. But Austin's really a super nice guy. Listen. I was kind of surprised when he said that they kind of razz him all the time. Maybe they're trying to toughen him up, right, for hockey, because it is a tough sport. But he's been playing it for a long time, and Austin does a really good job. It's interesting that the two things that you brought up were those two things because those were kind of funny points to the interview. One of the things that I really loved about the interview is, first of all, he talked about becoming a firefighter, being in the academy. He's no longer doing his day job, and it's 4 days on, 4 days off. And the 4 days that he's off, he's either training, working out, he's studying. He said studies anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a day. That's crazy. And, Alyssa, if you're listening, it's not for a long time. He'll be done in 9 months, and then you guys can kind of have, go back to the normalcy or whatever normalcy might be with you being married to a firefighter now. So it was an interesting interview. I couldn't get him to say that hockey was over for him, though, Taylor. That was another interesting part of it, is he never really said that, because he said, well, you never know, maybe we can get another game in, that type of thing. So it was kind of interesting that Don didn't really give me a hard answer on whether or not he was done or not.
I mean, he's still talking about in 10 years if Sherwood wanted to have him on the ice. And
Yeah.
I'm convinced Don could be 80 and be out there slapping shots harder than some of these guys in this entire league, honestly.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that, but it's probably relatively true. Listen, if he's a firefighter for the next, say, 30 years of his life, right? Goes into his 60s, he's got to be strong. He's got to be able to lift a lot of weight, the packs that they put on the back of them, stuff like that. Absolutely. So maybe he could still have a pretty good slap shot. But it was interesting that he just, he never really said, because he told me a little bit off air. He's like, listen, once I get through the academy, I'm 4 days on, 4 days off. And, the 4 days that I'm off, I could play some hockey. So he can't play hockey during the academy. And I completely understand this point. If he gets hurt playing hockey while he's in the academy, he could be kicked out. So he doesn't want to do that, obviously. So the fans have to understand that. I think, listen, it's great to talk to Don. I'll have Don on again on the show, of course, because people are going to just want to know what's going on with him. I'm planning on a couple other interviews of players who are not here with us right now, just to get, some insight on how they're doing. Because some of these guys are still young. Some of these guys are still in their 20s and they're not playing hockey no more. So I think it's kind of interesting to kind of tap into them and say, how you doing? What you doing? What's life like without playing pro hockey? And we get a little bit of that just now with Don.
Who knows? You're going to start recruiting people back to come to the arena. You're going to take over Andreas's job, and Brant's going to be like, Bobby's out here recruiting people to come back and play hockey again.
Yeah, well, I definitely tried to get Fitzy to come out, because Fitzy was in town, a few weeks ago, visiting his girlfriend, and he came to a couple of the games, and he kept just talking about, hey, when are they going to retire my number and put my my jersey up in the rafters? And I say, no, you can't. Listen, nobody gets retired in this arena. It's only happened once, and that was Randy McGregor, and because I think he wore number 11, and that was put up in the thing. We don't know where the jersey is. I don't know if the family knows where the jersey is or the flag or the banner that they put up for Randy McGregor. He's the only one. But Fitzy is dead set on starting a campaign to get his number and his jersey retired up into the rafters.
That's pretty funny. I'm not going to lie, especially coming from Fitzy. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. All right, let's start talking and let's start previewing Port Huron. We got some audio still to kind of break down a little bit that Brant Sherwood and Brooks Hill talked about on the Tully show. But let's get into this.
Black Bears host Friday and Saturday night the Port Huron Prowlers. These are the first two games of the season between the two teams in Binghamton at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. The first two games of the season between the two teams happened in Port Huron on Halloween, October 31st and November 1st. The Black Bears took Game 1 on Halloween by the score of 5-3. In that game, the Black Bears took a 5-0 lead before the Prowlers came back to score 3 straight goals in the third period. Then on Saturday, the Prowlers continued their style of hockey, defeating the Black Bears 4-1. Both games included a lot of sloppy play, physical play, and a lot of dirty kind of play. Brant Sherwood touched up on this kind of hockey on the Tully show this week.
Okay, so before I play the audio and we talk about that, the two games in Port Huron, Taylor, one of the more interesting things about that, we scored our first 5 goals, right? The first 5 goals of the weekend. Right on Halloween, we went 5-0. We had a 5-0 lead, and then the Prowlers did something that no other team has done against us. Right? They basically outscored us 7-1 the rest of the weekend. Right? So after we scored our 5th goal, they scored 3, and then they scored 4, and we only scored 1 in the next game. That's never really happened. Now, again, I still think there's an issue between how they play. If they play just regular hockey, do they have the high enough skill to compete with us? I don't know if they do. So sometimes they got to muck it up and use their sticks. And this is what Brant Sherwood is talking about on the Tully Show about playing physical versus being chippy. Let's play the audio.
What's the difference from a team playing chippy and then a team playing physical?
I think physical is like, wow, these guys really finish their checks. They forecheck hard. Where chippy is just like stuff behind the play, like dirty kind of, stuff by the bench, stuff off the draw. Like, it's just, to me, not real hockey. It's like, all right, you're using your stick as a weapon. I'm not a big fan of that, but if you want to be actually tough, then drop the gloves or hit someone. Like, that's pure toughness for me. So I think Port Huron has a little bit of fake toughness. They like to drop the gloves, but I don't think they're that scary in any sense.
All right, well, Port Huron is in second place in the Empire Division. Right now, Black Bears are in first with their 15 wins and only 2 regular.
I didn't realize I took it that long. I should have trimmed off that last part of it. But I think you get the point here is that he thinks that in some cases, well, the difference between physical and chippy or physical and dirty are pretty simple. You can be very physical, body on body. I talk about this all the time here on the show. Body on body, hip checks, shoulder checking, all that is regular physical hockey, right? Fighting for stuff in the boards and just regular good checking. Where the dirty play is when you start using your stick as a weapon, like Danbury has done against the Black Bears this season, and like the way Port Huron has done so far. What were your thoughts on his descriptions between the two?
I definitely agree with what he is saying. Port Huron definitely seems more on the chippy side than the more physical side. And you can tell, as he also talked in the show about, the opening face-off and 2 broken sticks. That was just, that had everybody fired up. And it was just one of those things where, like, that's how you're going to let the game start.
Yeah.
So you knew right off the bat that that's the kind of style that they were going to be playing. And, as, you'll talk about probably a little bit later on in the show, it might benefit us, if they are kind of that chippy, using the sticks and using them as a weapon, as Brant put it. That could be, beneficial towards us based on the numbers that you'll talk about in a little while. But I 100% agree with what he's talking about. If you want to play physical hockey, then play physical hockey. But the whole stick thing gets a little ridiculous, especially when the game's stopping every 5 seconds.
Yeah, there's a lot that we could point out from the Port Huron series in Michigan earlier in the season on Halloween and the next day on November 1st, where the Prowlers were using their sticks, and they were and to the point where I think back then I even said, well, the Black Bears got fed up and had to start sticking up for themselves, right? So they had to start retaliating as well. And you don't want to see them do that. And as a matter of fact, I think, there was some frustration from some of the fans going, why are we taking so many penalties? Why are we doing so much? Because you can only take so much, and then you have to start firing back, right? You have to start beating them down because they're trying to beat you down. And we saw it with Danbury, right? Like the stick to the nads of Austin Thompson, that's just dirty. It was behind the play. That's a little bit what Brant's talking about there is behind the play. Referee was watching, and why the referee didn't call that, we don't know. But literally, when you purposely take a slash and you're slashing a guy in the nads, I mean, that's what they call a cup check. Well, a cup check is usually underneath in between the legs, and then you pull back and you get him in the nads. That's a cup check. But basically, that's essentially what he did is he literally went and he was trying to get him where the sun don't shine, or not where the sun don't shine, but, the other area. And that just is dirty play. It's just chippy, dirty play that doesn't belong in the game. Port Huron does that. We saw Danbury having to do that because they just can't hang with the Black Bears. They just can't play hockey at the same level. Where we didn't see that was Saturday against the Twin City Thunderbirds. They still played the same style of hockey they did before. Now, they don't have as many weapons as they did last year or the year before, Taylor, but they still played the same style of hockey, and we didn't walk away from there going, oh, they're a dirty son of a bitch team.
Yeah, and we never do with Carolina. The only thing that I thought was, the Saturday's game to me seemed like it had more penalties than we've seen in games against Carolina.
Yeah.
But even then, they weren't bad. It wasn't, anything that led to craziness. It wasn't to the extent that it's been with, Danbury or Port Huron,
right,
where, they're doing stuff purposely behind the play or after the whistle to try to knock our guys down. That's not what it's like with Twin City. And it very much shows the huge difference between the style of hockey. And, Twin City, they gave us a good run. And it was a close game. I think everybody was on their seat, but they were on their seat for a good reason. They weren't on their seat because every play you're worried about somebody going out there and getting a stick to the face or getting a stick in the, no square. It's just you were on the edge of the seat because you had two very talented teams going back and forth against each other.
Yeah, 100%. Let's continue on with the preview.
The Prowlers are second in the Empire Division with an 11-7-0 record and 33 points. The Black Bears are first in the Empire Division with a 15-2-0 record and 44 points. Last weekend, the Prowlers played 3 games and 3 nights versus the Topeka Scarecrows, winning the first game Friday night 5-1, but then losing Saturday night 5-1, and again on Sunday 2-1. The Black Bears are currently on a 6-game winning streak, including defeating the Twin City Thunderbirds last Saturday 5-4, and the Watertown Wolves on Friday by the score of 4-1.
Yeah, and again, I think we talked a little bit about, and I think it's important to note when Port Huron, if they're sick or not sick, whatever was going on with them on Saturday and Sunday against Topeka, not a lot of penalties. So they have to play just regular hockey, and it didn't seem like it was in their favor at all. Now, if you're sick, you probably aren't going to be doing all the shenanigans that you normally are. Hopefully they're a little bit healthier when they get to Binghamton, because the last thing we need, I already saw Kelly Howe, I think it was, out there trying to get all the medicine cabinet supplies for the Binghamton Black Bears players, because they're worried that Port Huron's going to come in and get Binghamton all sick, and we don't want that either. So let's hope that they're all healthy by the time they get to Binghamton, because the last thing we want is them to come in and then get our guys sick as well.
Oh, definitely. And a huge shout out to Kelly. She's always sticking out for other teams, our team, doing whatever she can to make sure that every player out there feels, like they have the necessities they need to get through the season. And, she's always thinking, one step ahead. Yeah. And I think it's a great idea to, stock up the medicine cabinet as it's posted. Because the last thing we want, we've had bus issues. We've had guys sick on the team before. We've gone through it. We know what it's like. It's definitely not something fun.
No.
And I hope that it's something that these guys can get through this weekend without having any issues getting sick or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't want them to get hurt or get sick. So let's just put it that way. And Kelly, here's your shout out. Thank you very much for doing the part that you do. You act like a Booster Club member, even if you're not a part of the Booster Club. And maybe she is part of it. I don't know if she is or isn't, but you act like that by helping to organize these type of things, whether it's for other teams or for our team. You do good work, and we really appreciate it. All right. The Prowlers are led by Alex Johnson, 18 games played. He's got 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 points. If you look at the difference in the point differentials between their top players and our top players, you can see that they definitely rely on low-scoring games to win games. Johnson has 2 power play goals and 2 game-winning goals. Matt Graham, 18 games played. He's got 8 goals, 8 assists for 16 points, 3 power play goals, and 2 game-winning goals. Lucas Lackney, 15 games played. He has 5 goals, 11 assists for 16 points, 1 power play goal, 1 game-winning goal. And then Cooper Reed, or Reed Cooper, I don't know what his name is. He's 9-3 and 0 with a 2.19 goals against average and a 930 save percentage. It is Cooper Reed, right?
I think, yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
But I'm going to go just, look and see. You got me second guessing.
I'm second guessing myself. When you have 2 first names, like, listen, my name's Robert Joseph Howard. I have 3 first names. So what the hell do I know? But the Black Bears are led by CJ Stubbs with 17 games played. He's got 10 goals, 24 assists for 34 points. 5 power play goals, 5 game-winning goals. Ivan Bondarenko, 17 games played, 7 goals, 23 assists for 30 points, 1 power play goal. Mac Jansen, 17 games played, 14 goals, 11 assists for 25 points, 5 power play goals for Mac Jansen as well, 1 shorthanded goal, 3 game-winning goals. And Connor McAnanima is 9-1 with a 2.49 goals against average and a 900 save percentage. And apparently to some Port Huron fans, that's just not good enough. It's he's not the number 1 goaltender in the league, but which he is when you look at his resume, what he's done over the last 2.5 years. Did you look it up? Am I wrong or right?
It's definitely Reed Cooper.
Oh, Reed Cooper. So I got it wrong. I've been calling him Cooper Reed, I think, since last year. Oh, that's funny. So it's Reed Cooper. Okay. All right. On the special teams, which I think is very important going into this weekend, and I know Brant brought it up as well, or Brooks brought it up, and Brant talked about it. Binghamton on the power play is ranked number 1, as I said earlier in the broadcast. They have 27 power play goals, the most in the league by far of any other team. They are firing 25% of the time. So if you give them 4 chances, they're scoring a power play goal. It's a guarantee. On the penalty kill, they are ranked first. They've only given up 8 power play goals. They are killing them 90% of the time, which is the best in the league. PD is close with 89%, I believe. They might be 80. They might be 90%, but it's a lower percentage when you go out to the next decimal point than the Black Bears. But the Black Bears are number 1 at 90% and only giving up 8 power play goal opportunities. Port Huron, on the other hand, their power play is ranked 14th. 14th is dead last, Taylor. That's pretty insane to me that they are dead last on the power play. 14 power play goals, 12%. I mean, they're less than half converting on power play opportunities than the Black Bears. And then on the PK, they are ranked 8th with 20 power play goals against and 82%. Just looking at those numbers real quick, I mean, that's crazy how different these two teams are on the special teams.
Yeah, and what's crazy to me is the amount of penalties that Port Huron takes.
Yeah.
And they have the worst power play and, not a great penalty kill in the league. And that's just, they continue to take crazy penalties. And that's just, it's mind blowing to me.
No, it is. The Prowlers are also the most penalized team and have been shorthanded 109 times. Now, I don't know how 100% accurate that is because, of course, the league sometimes counts like matching roughing penalties and fighting majors, but it's obviously a lot of shorthanded times. The Black Bears are the number 1 power play team and has the best PK in the league. I think this weekend, the Black Bears are just going to eat up the Prowlers if the Prowlers give them a lot of power play opportunities.
I mean, I think that's what we're all hoping for, to be honest. I just, I truthfully, I'm hoping, if Port Huron comes in and, they're all healthy and they're going to play the kind of style of hockey that they play in Port Huron, I don't think it's going to go so well here in Binghamton. I think they're going to end up in the box a lot, and I think Binghamton's going to make them pay in the long run. Yeah,
very much so. So I think that's pretty much it for the show. Taylor, obviously we have the 2 games against Port Huron this upcoming weekend. We kind of now have a good understanding of the roster, what we're looking at. One more move, maybe 2 moves, really, honestly, if you count the guy who's going to be signed. And then obviously the person that might depart, but the team is looking like it's in pretty good shape.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And just to put a little bit of perspective on this, Port Huron has 703 penalty minutes.
Yeah.
The next closest is Monroe Moccasins with 434.
That's like 300 difference. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the next closest number.
Yeah.
Most teams are
insane.
In the 200 range. Our league or our division, a lot of them are in like 400. We're the only one left in ours that it's 284. Everybody else is 300 or higher.
That is pretty insane. Now there are a few teams obviously in the other division. Twin City is only 199. They don't take a lot. PD only 258. Athens Rock Lobsters 253. We saw them in a couple games. Wasn't penalty filled a little bit, but not too much. Columbus 293. Now Columbus has won 7 games in a row right now. They're on a little bit of a hot streak, and I don't think anyone expected that from Columbus this year. But they might be sneaking up on Athens, as time goes on. Now, Athens is 8-2 in their last 10, but Columbus is 9-1. The Black Bears are 8-2 in their last 10. But I don't foresee for a while anybody really catching up with the Black Bears in the division.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. And especially if it's going to be Port Huron's the next closest.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of hoping that they come into this weekend and just they hurt themselves more than they get anything on us and just put themselves in the box, and it's going to show on the scoreboard. That's all that I really hope for at the end of the day.
Nope, totally agree. All right, let's see here. Let's pretty much get through this. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and please don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for the Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net. Your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton hockey. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our music director, and the Don Fowler, Donald Olivieri, for joining us here on the Power Play Post Show. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.